So we'll be starting our session on interesting topics in practice, and some of these topics are never taught to us. And that's why we've been doing this session, I see, for last 3-4 years now. And the best part is that what we discuss is something every day. All of us go through these situations of managing patients. We are given excellent skills in our clinical acumen, our surgical acumen, but we are not taught the interpersonal dealings with the patient, dealing with medico-legal, dealing with your self-promotion and marketing. So those things probably we'll end up discussing here. So I'll be starting with the session. So,
welcome everyone. So, Dr. Kamal sir would be talking about converting an unhappy to a happy patient. How to wow. हाँ sir, आपका second. After him. हाँ.
So, am I audible? Okay. So the most difficult thing is, you see, one thing is converting a complication to a normal situation and doing the surgery. नहीं पकड़ रहा, आपके वायर में इशू है. So when you are in a medical college, you are taught that if you have a complication, how to manage it. But an unhappy patient is a huge complication. And sometimes this complication is without a reason. You cannot fathom, you cannot find out what is the reason for this unhappy patient. Sometimes the patient is so unhappy that the doctor himself becomes unhappy. The whole environment in the clinic can become unhappy. And this one unhappy patient can take away a lot of your practice, a lot of your enthusiasm and excitement. So what are the tricks and tips to manage these unhappy patients? So we are never taught these tricks in our medical college. They give us the skills, they give us the knowledge, they never give us the skill of having a conversation, knowing the science of having a conversation. And unhappiness is a state of mind, and all the students of physics will understand. All the states are interchangeable. A solid can become liquid, a liquid can become gas, and vice versa. So is the mental state. A happy person can become unhappy, and an unhappy patient can become a happy. So what is the science behind that? How to de-plug a patient from his unhappiness. So these are scenarios. Surgeon is happy, patient is happy. Best case scenario. Surgeon is unhappy, but the patient is happy. You will have so many patients where you think you've not done the best, but the patient is happy. You don't bother. Problem starts when the surgeon is happy, the patient is not happy. The patient has whatever he or you desired, but still the patient is unhappy. The worst is that the surgeon is also unhappy and the patient is also unhappy. Now this is a condition which will spiral out. These are situations which can lead to medico-legal problems and conflicts. So as the Darwin says, that the survival of the fittest. So when he talked about fittest was not the strongest, the fastest, or the most intelligent. Fittest was the one who adapts the best. So in today's scenario, we need to adapt to our patients' aspirations and ambitions. So the changing trends are, patient wants visual aspirational correction. He wants to be delighted, and also complaint redressal. Even if the patient comes to you after a good surgery, 6-6, and he says, I think the floor in your clinic is not clean, the complaint has to be redressed. It is a genuine complaint. So all the beginners in practice may think, कि Dr. Kamal क्या बोल रहे हैं? You can do a very good surgery, but if the patient, there is something which irritates the patient, that's worth looking into and correcting it, because this will help you increase your practice. Unhappiness is multi-layered. It is never single thing. Let me tell you, unhappiness is the multi-layered issue. You will never have a patient who's just unhappy because he touched 6'9". The patient is probably unhappy because you kept him waiting. The patient is unhappy because probably he misunderstood the surgical promise and something else has landed. The patient could be unhappy maybe because there are some extra charges in the bill. And then the unhappiness cycle starts. Then he will start finding faults. मेरे आँख में दर्द हो रहा है, मेरे को ये पानी आ रहा है. And then the surgery will become faulty. So these are multi-layered. Sometimes it could be as simple as he didn't think that he got enough time. So if you're not able to give the patient enough time, this could start the season of unhappiness. So a lot of surgeons will just probably talk to a patient for 1 minute and then book him for a surgery. But sometimes there are some patients who want more. They want to be heard. So you have to see the patient who wants to be heard. Now such patients can be caught that they want to share other symptoms. They might want to share their medical history of uric acid medication or their arthritis. Listen to them. There might be patients who are very okay with you advising them surgery after 1 minute of consultation. But a patient who wants to give history, the first sign is listen to this patient. He wants to talk, he wants to share. If you listen to this patient, he will think you've given him enough time. Attention to the patient and the details. Suppose he's mentioned that he's allergic to some medication. Make sure you let the patient know you've heard it and noted it down. That makes the patient feel heard. That makes the patient feel attended to. Surgical outcomes. Make sure that you tell the right outcome. Do not overpromise. Now these are few things you do before your surgery, which will ensure that the patient is not unhappy. Sometimes it is a missed communication. Like in this cartoon, the man says, the laptop doesn't fit in my lap. So similarly, it could be that you're doing a monofocal lens, but somebody forgot to tell him that the near vision is not going to be there. And after surgery, you tell him the patient is going to be unhappy. So right communication in the right words at the right time. Behavior of the staff. Suppose the patient, your front desk has not talked to the patient properly. Your front desk or your reception people have not talked to the patient properly. The unhappy cycle has already started. And now on top of that, he's seen the next person saying, "Mere ko to paas ka dikhta hai." Now it is the firecracker. He's already upset about something and he feels he's been cheated. So clear-cut communication of the outcomes of the surgery is must. So I ensure a bare minimum of at least 3 to 6 minutes of chair time with each patient. Patient has waited 1 hour, 1.5 hours to see you. He's probably driven in a big city like Delhi 1.5 hours to see you. And if you cannot give him enough time, you are not doing justice. This kind of practice will not stay for long where you just give very small time to the patient. For that, you need to be a very, very senior surgeon to be able to do that. But then your staff should be taking care of the other part of the time to let the patient know that something is going fine. The patient is non-responsive to the treatment and you have not communicated. A patient post-cataract surgery complaining of a dry eye due to a substandard medication which is just picked up from the chemist and using, and your surgery will be blamed for that. So you need to spend time with the patient and tell them that there is nothing wrong with the surgery. A lot of times a simple question to the patient will solve the problem. Patient will say, "Doctor Sahab, aapne cataract surgery kiya tha, aankh theek nahi bani. The surgery is not well." Statement given. Ask him, what exactly is the problem? Do not lose temper. Do not react. You ask him ki, "Sir, I understand your experience is, aapko lagta hai aankh ki surgery mein problem hai. Can you tell me aapko problem kya hai?" And then he'll say, "Aankh jhapakta hu to radak hoti hai." So if you explain the patient, ye radak kyun ho rahi hai, ki incision hai, incision ki healing hoti hai, dry eye hota hai medication se, preservative based allergy hoti hai, and this will go on with time. This will take care. So spending time. So bottom line is, most of the unhappy patients are not wanting to be unhappy forever. Nobody wants to stay unhappy. You agree with me? Raise your hands. Who wants to stay unhappy? Everybody wants to be happy. So if you have an unhappy patient, he's looking to be happy. There are only less than 1% of patients who by nature are fault finders. They will keep pursuing you. But the other 99% patients want to be happy. All you need to do is listen to them. So in our practice at Sharpsight, most of our doctors are trained to deal with these unhappy patients. And suppose they get a very nasty patient, they are probably sent to some senior doctors in the team. A lot of time when they come to me is, all I do is I change my approach. So you have indicators. Either the body language of the patient will tell you he's unhappy, he'll walk in with a grim face, he will not have an eye contact, he'll pull a chair, sit and probably sit with crossed arms. This is a body language of a patient who is closed. He's closed his communication with the whole team. So always you will have these body language signs, or your staff will tell you कि सर बाहर मिस्टर भसीन बैठे हैं और वो बहुत लड़ाई कर रहे हैं, XY डॉक्टर के चेंबर से लड़ के आए हैं और आपको मिलना चाहते हैं. So you already have a ticker, your flag is on. Do not be angry at the start. Normally क्या होता है, when you are told there's an angry patient, you suddenly become aggressive, you become defensive and offensive. No, be plainer. In fact, actually show the patient that you don't know he's an angry patient. That will lower the energy. But if you आते साथ बोलोगे, अच्छा जी आपको क्या प्रॉब्लम है, आप ऐसे बोल रहे थे बाहर किसी को कि आपका अच्छा नहीं आंख हुआ, so वो इस लेवल पे आया था, आपने उसको ऊपर लेवल पे ले गए. So get him down by saying, okay sir, how can I help you? I am Dr. Kapur. I am here to help you. I believe you wanted to talk to me. How can I help you? So then he'll say, मेरी आंख अच्छी नहीं बनी or whatever. You listen to the whole complaint, and the best trick is after he's finished, repeat the complaint. Let the patient know he's come to a doctor who is listening. So once he says, मेरे आंख में पानी है, रात को चिपक जाती है, लाल होती है, जब से सर्जरी हुई है मैं सो नहीं पाया, then you'll say anything else. He says no. So then you can say, okay, I agree. आपने मुझे बोला आपके आंख में पानी है, आपने बोला रड़कती है, आपने बोला रात में चिपकती है और लाल होती है. Now this patient is yours. He knows you're listening. He knows you've heard every word you've said. Now the anger will come down. Now we'll start suddenly being with the person who realizes that this person is listening. Then you can say, आपने किसी और से opinion लिया है. Most of them will say, हाँ लिया है, and they told me that nothing is wrong. So keep that on the side. Don't say, see, I told you. Or they say, I've seen somebody and he said this. Then you ask him कि आपका apprehension क्या है, आपका fear क्या है. So before you talk into the patient, empty the patient out. As the saying says, you fill only an empty vessel. You cannot fill a full vessel. उसको बोलो आपका apprehension क्या है. Most of them will say कि मेरे को लगता है मेरी आँख खराब हो जाएगी, मेरी vision चली जाएगी. So once it's complete, then you explain what has happened. This is probably a dry eye, or this is a complication of cataract surgery seen in less than 2% of cases. Suppose you say this is a PC rent, the IOL is there, don't worry, it can happen in the best of hands, and the whole team is there to take care of you. Allay the anxiety one by one, and then address the final question that आपकी vision को नहीं कुछ होगा. The moment you take away the last irritant, the patient becomes happy. So training skills comes from listening. You can be only a good speaker if you listen well. You listen to the patient well, and then you can speak into his listening. Quick thinking. You need to have examples ready with you where you have treated previous such patients. And say, okay, I have so many patients who have some problem like you, dry or something. Don't worry. They all are happy now. So then suddenly the anxiety is gone down. Listen to what is being said. We always react to what we interpret as what is being said. This is the biggest human flaw. Most of us will react to what we think is being said. We need to respond to what is being said. A lot of times when the patient says this has happened, we take offense and we say, okay, मेरी surgery को गड़बड़ बोल दिया इसने, मेरे staff को खराब बोल दिया, मेरी organization को गलत बोल दिया, and we react. No, just listen to what they are saying. Never be in hurry to solve the problem. Even if you want to go to the toilet, don't let the patient know you're in a hurry. Show them that you have all the time to listen to him. Show them patience. If you show them they are in a hurry, they will be more angry. Listen to all the concerns. Now this is a classical example. Sometimes patient's complaint will be very different than what you think it is be. I had a patient, a very senior manager in some corporate house in Gurgaon, operated his mother for 2 diopters astigmatism. I told him to get a toric lens done. He got a toric lens done. Something happened. The astigmatism went to 3.5 post-op. So the man, after with his mother, 3 weeks for my turn of follow-up, came and he said, Dr. Saab, my mother is very happy. So before he walked in, I saw the sheet and I said, oh my God, there's something wrong in the calculation, something has gone wrong. So my mind was already working what I should answer or should I take for resurgery. But I use this science, listen to the patient. So he said, Doctor Sahab, my mother is very unhappy with the patient surgery and aapne insist kara ke surgery kara diya and she is very unhappy. So I just asked Mataji kya dikkat hai? She says, Sara din radkan hoti hai. So mera concern, toric oil went out of the window. The complaint was radkan. The lady was very okay with 624 vision also. So a lot of times, don't see the obvious. Listen to the complaint. Sometimes patient will have a simple complaint, but we as doctors are trying to look for bigger complaints. Deal with it. How to deal with it? Make sure that never lose temper. If you're feeling angry, excuse from the patient. Tell them, okay, just sit. I need to address to something and I'm going for a glass of water. Come back after 2 minutes. Because when you're angry and the patient is angry, this is the recipe for disaster. Get up from the table. I do this. Sometimes patient gets a little personal about the staff. I just say, okay sir, abhi aapka baat sun liya hai. I just should be back in next 40 seconds. Ek chota sa main kaam karke aa raha hu. I leave the room, recharge myself, come back. And then deal with the patient. Because a lot of times if your tempers are high and the opposite party's tempers are high, this is a recipe for disaster. Remain calm, resist temptation. Never interrupt the patient when he's giving you complaints. Always ensure your staff is always happy around the patient. Listen to the patient very carefully. Sometimes patient will have personal tragedy in the house. Personal elderly people having some sick person at home. So they will be anxious. Sometimes a simple question like saying, I understand your problem. What can I do for you? Classical example, I operated a patient for femto cataract and he had 0.5 diopters of cylinder and 0.5 diopters of sphere. He was eating my life. So I told him, okay, what do you want me to do for you? At 0.5, I'm not going to do bioptics for you. I'll recommend you wear glasses. He said, मेरे को glasses नहीं पहनना, मैंने इसीलिए surgery कराया था. So I heard the whole thing. I gave the choice to him. I said, 0.5 पे we don't do LASIK. But if you recommend, I'll do it, but the results will be unpredictable. Explained everything. Then I said, okay, sir, what do you want me to do? Guess what he said? Glasses दे दो. Issue sorted out. मगर अगर मैं उसको defend करता रहता, तो sometimes giving the option to the opposite party lowers their guard. Empathy and reassurance. Have SOPs in your organization for complaint redressal. Make sure a complaint is reported, dotted and documented. Always let the patient know that you want to help them and not defend your position. There should be a flow chart in the organization that who is going to deal with what problem. And at every step, the patient has to be informed that yes, their problem was taken care of. We are working on it. So if the patient knows and he gets a phone call from the organization that this complaint is fixed, your appointment is fixed with the doctor, a lot of times these patients would be happy. Never waste the complaints. Sometimes these complaints will have pearls for you. They will be for improvement of your organization. Fixing of problems, documentation. Suppose you feel it's going to get into medical legal, my fellow mates will be talking about it. Document the problem in the sheet. Describe the problem. It's a PC rent, it's an end off, it's a task. Mention it in the file. Because paperwork will never lie. The court will never ask you what you said to the patient or what you did. The court will only see what you wrote down on the prescription. So use these tools of photographs and images to explain to the patient what's happening in the eye. Use animations. We have these slit lamp cameras. A lot of times we show these patients these images. Golden rules. Do not prolong the problem. Suppose there's a PC rent in my hands. I do not wait. I call the patient's relative after the surgery, sit with him, 2 minutes, tell him what happened, what has been done. Vision recovery will be slightly lower. The vision will be slightly less than normal for first few days. Explain everything at that moment, rather than wait for the patient to bring up the complaint. Document the complications. Have a patient-centric approach and always advise the patient is still unhappy to take a second opinion. Compassion and be ready to take a re-evaluation. Sometimes you could be wrong. Tell the patient, I'll re-evaluate you. That will tell the patient that you're ready to reconsider the complaint. So, but at the end, don't be a doormat. If the patient is getting very disrespectful to you and you feel is beyond repair, folded hands, tell him that you have helped the most you can. Never say, मैं आपको कोर्ट में देख लूँगा. That's asking for trouble. Just say, we have done whatever we can, sir. We are always there for you whenever you need. But for this particular moment, जो हम कर सकते थे, कर सकते हैं. If you want, I can refer you to few of my colleagues. They can see you. Maybe they'll help me find out if I'm missing something. And always keep the door of communication open with the unhappy patient. If you close the door, this can mean bad. Thank you.
very much, sir, for the insights. And now I would be inviting Dr. Sheetal, and she would be talking about efficient patient management in the clinic, enhancing the patient delight. Sir.
We have just seen how to make an unhappy patient happy. But our gods, yes, you heard it right. Because they are the ones who earn us bread and butter, they are the ones who make us what we are, and they are the ones who make us feel wanted. So what protocols we should adopt so that these gods can enter our facility? Patient flow is nothing but the movement of patients within a healthcare facility. It not only involves a medical care, but also physical resources and all the internal systems for maintaining quality and patient satisfaction. Whether it is a small private practice or a big organizational practice, an efficient patient flow is the only key to increasing revenue and improving the efficiency. When we go to a restaurant, what do? Before going to a particular place, we always check the Google reviews. We always check whether the place is worth going or not. So why does a patient will come to you only? He has so many options available these days. So the only thing that can attract a patient to your facility is if you give them the patient delight. So we should see how to make the journey of the patient seamless from the parking area till the checkout area so as to maximize the daily patient load. What are the few guidelines that can ensure a good patient flow? Number one, you should clearly define the patient destinations. A patient should not get lost in your premises. He should be able to know where to go, what path to follow. There can be illiterate patients coming to your clinic. There can be elderly patients coming to your clinic. So signage is the key. You should have proper arrow areas. You should have color coding system so as to help every patient to move within your facility. Avoid bottlenecks. The most common area of problem is the small traditional check-in counters. So try to make your counters big and spacious so as to accommodate more patients at one time. Minimize undue waiting. This is most important. Nobody wants to wait unnecessarily. If your time is important, the patient's time is also important. Ensure timely transitions between the staff. If there is a shift system in your hospital, the next person joining the duty should know why the patient is getting dilated, with whom doctor he has to see to, so as to avoid the undue waiting. Parking. It may sound funny to you, but yes, this is also very important to affect the patient flow. Smoothen out the elective surgical schedule. If you have OT and OPD planned the same day, you have to be very careful because both are important. Try to keep the OT and OPD days separately so as to give importance to all your patients. This is the most important software that we have adopted at Sharpside. This not only helps to have a complete control over the patient flow from arrival to the discharge, but it also gives a real-time data to assess your patient's journey in your hospital. Engage with secret shoppers. Who are these secret shoppers? A secret shopper can be your friend, a relative, or just a professionally designed person who walks into your clinic, behave as a patient, have the overall experience, and tell your shortcomings. So you should keep such people periodically visiting your clinic to know your shortcomings and rectify them. Ask your staff about their opinions. If you are sitting at a 500 feet, you may not know the problems which your staff can know. So you should sit with your staff monthly and take their opinions in small things. Take feedbacks and reviews. You should have a column at every step in your hospital to have patient and their attendants' feedback. Your criticism will help you to improve yourself so that you can avoid all sorts of problems. So what are the systems grossly that impact the patient flow management? The number one is manpower. If you have a large crowd entering your hospital, you should have a sufficient manpower also. Not only quantity matters, quality also matters. So your staff should be skilled, they should be trained time to time so as to give good patient experience. Infrastructure. You should have a big space within the facility if you have more people to cater. The waiting area should be big and spacious so that the people should not keep standing. A standing and a tired patient will obviously become irritable. And of course, you should have a good parking area so that the patient spends less time in the parking area. Resources. If you want to exist in today's era, you should be updated in everything, in your equipment, state-of-the-art technology, and of course, your data management. So the patient flow at sharp site hospitals, what are the strategies that we adopt to increase our clinical efficiency? We have a proper valet parking at all our centers so that the patient and the attendant, when comes inside the hospital, he is less stressed, more relaxed, and a quiet patient that meets you. We have arrangements for the elderly patients in the forms of ramps and so that the patient can come in. Moreover, we have separate lifts for vulnerable patients as well as the other kind of patients to handle them first. We have very easy appointment modules. The website is directly linked to the appointment module. Moreover, we have a very good user-friendly app through which the patient can directly book an appointment. We have this online app also helps to assess self-assessment to the patient, to have a SMS notification, to see the complete profile of the doctor, its timings, its OPD, OT schedule, so that he can do everything himself. Whenever we give appointment to the patient, we ask the patient to attend the hospital around 20 to 30 minutes early. This not only avoids the chaos, illogical expectations, but also makes the patient prepared for the waiting time. We also tell the patient that appointment time is your reporting time in the hospital. It is not the time to be seen by the doctor. We have very spacious receptions and check-in counters so that the crowd is not there at the reception and every patient can be handled easily. This is most important. Don't keep the patients and the attendants sitting idle in your waiting area. Nobody wants to sit idle. So you should have TV where the educational videos can be run, where the news can be displayed, and moreover, you can even motivate the attendants to get their eyes checked up. The journey at Sharpside begins with the kiosk machine where every patient is generated a token. The token is well displayed on the TV where the patient can know where his number lies and how much waiting is expected. This is the home page of the electronic medical record. This is the page which is displayed on the doctor's screen. This page gives you the complete information. It tells us about the reporting time of the patient, whether the patient has an appointment or not, how much is the waiting that has already been done, whether the patient seen by you has gone to the counselor or not, whether the surgery is booked or not, how many surgeries are planned in a day, how many appointments you have. So this gives doctor the complete control over the patient's journey. It also gives you the trigger warnings and reminders. So if you have a vulnerable patient, an elderly patient or a child, then that patient can be seen early. Then that patient can be given a preference. So this page on the doctor's desk gives a complete control over the complete journey of the patient in the hospital. So to conclude, an effective patient flow is the key to increasing revenue and improving the efficiency. The facility, whether a small organizational practice or a big private practice, that minimizes undue waiting, make destinations apparent, and transitions comfortable, results in a patient delight. Quality care and the data accuracy enhances reliability among your patients and thus increases the scope for new patients. So an efficient patient flow results in a happy patient and of course a happy doctor. Thank you.
Very lucidly explained, Dr. Sheetal. I think the carry-home point should be, you should be all looking at the patient's comfort. See, these patients have come to a doctor, even an ophthalmologist, because they are troubled. They have some problem. And as we say in our organization, nobody comes to a doctor to do window shopping as you go in a shopping mall. In shopping mall, you can just probably go, enter, and just roam around and come back. The patient travels, takes an appointment, gives consultation fees. So all these basic things, if they are taken care of, his vulnerability, his waiting time, he's sitting in a comfortable place, the bathrooms are neat and clean, these basic things will really work. The classical example of a restaurant which was serving excellent food, and when they had another restaurant serving similar food with the waiters and people who were serving were more courteous, the tablecloths were cleaner and the bathrooms were cleaner, the sales of the neighboring restaurant went up. So it's not just the product, it's about the experience. So we as doctors also need to look at the experience of the patient as he comes into the clinic. And here I introduce Dr. Satanshu. His style of giving the presentation is very unique. He'll make you laugh. He'll make you actually smile. And his rustic sense of humor will shine through. And he's talking about his own style of branding.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. So Kamal has already initiated the steps for the branding. Happy patient, satisfying patient, and we should give for what he has already paid for us. The question is, why branding? Doctors are termed as a god by the, not by us, but by the people. And we thought God do not need branding. No. Nowadays, God also needs branding without anything against the gods. Vaishno Devi, Tirupati Maharaj ji, now Ayodhya ji, everybody is branding now. Even gods are branding. That's why people are going there. Shraddha bhi jagti hai, so we should have some introduction about that. So branding is not that you are something wrong that you are doing. Branding is must in this era of digital time. We have not been taught about this. We become very busy. Many of us are truly successful in practice. This is because lack of business understanding. So what we do? Why branding? This we have to decide. These are the stairs. We have to decide up to what level we have to reach. I want to reach up to the top level. And if you want to reach up to the second step, okay, you go ahead. But if I want to go up to the top level, I have to go for the branding. Branding market strategy. What business are we in? What is the brand? Let us start by dispelling some myths about the branding. Apollo Hospital name, this is not the brand. Logo is not a brand. You can put any logo outside. So logo is not a branding. Second thing, a brand is not an identity. Third thing, these things are sold everywhere. Solutions are sold for content-less solution. So this is not the brand. What is the brand actually? The brand is not a product alone. So what exactly is a brand? A brand is a total experience a patient has with your eye hospital clinic from the moment he enters inside till he leaves out. A brand is delivering a promise constantly. Two things are there. Once patient entered inside the hospital, he is satisfied starting from the parking, from the meet and greet experience at the reception area, from the reception area, meeting doctor, toilets, cleanliness, hygienic, everything. And this is not the first time, but brand is delivering a promise consistently. Next time he should come, he should have the same things available there. Not a one-time experience. This is the brand. Why a hospital should brand? And why you can see there are so many animals, cats. Can you differentiate anyone from each other? No. All are look similar. They are similar detergent powder like there. Which detergent powder you have to take? You go and can you hold one detergent powder come out? No. Ek uthayenge chale aayenge nahi. So what is gone are the days when patient used to be loyal to one family doctor. Today patient has more choice. There are thousands of doctors sitting everywhere. When somebody wants to have LASIK treatment done in the Delhi in Kamal Hospital, he goes to the internet, type in LASIK content and there he gets at least 5 to 10 answers. So branding your center is very important, attracting the patient to your center. Because patient has many choices nowadays. So treatment now it is shift towards accommodation. This is the example. There are several balls and one red ball is totally differentiating it with others. Why? Because it has a brand. So brand make you differentiate from others. A brand reduces the need to compete on price alone. You are not to keep that by operating 5,000, 2,000, 8,000. Brand means 5-star hotel does not publicize them that they are giving discount or they are having fixed rate. People come themselves to them 5-star hotels. So this is the same brand does not compete on the price alone. So this is the advantage of brand. When you are without brand, you are competing with your neighbor. Some patient come to his house. Nobody dare to ask you. Nobody go in the Apollo hospital and ask, sir, आप मेरा 2000 में ऑपरेशन हो रहा है, बाहर आप मेरा 2000 में कर दो. So this make you differentiate from others. A strong brand give you also next thing important is patient, not patient, but your employee satisfaction. If you have brand, that you give employee a focus, a sense of purpose and sense of security that they are working there. A doctor is working in AIMS hospital in Delhi. So here, doctor instead get confidence. I am working in a better hospital, I will get better things in future. So this makes you brand. A strong brand gives you a sense of security. How can you establish a brand? Three most important things for establish a brand is focus, focus, and focus. Where to focus? A brand becomes stronger when you narrow those focus. Example, every small town had coffee shops. So what could you find in this coffee shop? Bread, cake, breakfast, lunch, dinner. However, should in can be a burst of business activity, narrow the focus, start a Starbucks which sold only coffee. So you should not consider many things. You concentrate only one thing that is not available in the market area. That makes you special. Position your brand. There are two things, blue strategy and red strategy. Mean, if you dig deep for a position within the existing category or create a new category, you are starting IOL surgeon, or you want to have a LASIK surgeon. So you have to popularize that one thing only, which is not available in nearby area, that you make you easily approachable and easily famous in that area. But this is known as blue ocean strategy. How to create uncontested market space and make the competition irrelevant. Suppose you have a femto laser, you can market it your place as a robotic surgery, which is not available nearby. So that is the blue ocean. If you start doing the same cataract surgery that is going everywhere, then you are red ocean. You have to compete with the neighbors. So blue ocean, try to, dry eye is not happening in not nearby area. Purchase the dry eye instrument and start dry eye. So that is the blue ocean. You have create the uncontested market space. So this is the, so blue ocean example are Arvind Hospital. What they started? They tapped the blue ocean at bottom of pyramid. Patient who could never afford treatment at private hospital, they started from there. Now they are what you everybody knows it. They have more private patients than anyone else. Himalayan drugs, they have touched the field that was the Ayurvedic medicine. Nobody was there for the Ayurvedic medicine at that time and popular. So they have made it their identity as a Himalayan drugs. The birth of brand is achieved with publicity, not advertising. There is a two different thing, publicity and advertising. Publicity, you can create publicity by being the first in the category. Like that what Arvind Hospital did. They were the first operator to treat the free patient private hospital, and that gave a lot of opportunity. So you should try to do something new, which is not going to happen in your nearby place. Once you establish a brand, then you can advertise anything, that doesn't matter. So once you establish that you are good LASIK surgeon, you are a good dry eye treatment, something which is not happening there nearby, then you can do anything after that. But a brand has already been established. Second important thing, branding, which we never care. We care in purchasing machines. You should care about your people because they are your brand ambassador. My place, people are working for last 20, 30. I have never removed any person from my place. They have become from young to the older. Their children also got to get married because they are ambassadors. Patient come after 20 years. They say, "Oh, still you are working here." The patient always think positively. They also have communication with them. So they it is always good to keep your staff happy because they are your brand ambassador. They will go publicity everywhere. How to apply the staff? Hire for attitude and train for skill. What we do normally, we hire the skilled person. No, you can skill them, but attitude is not there. That not there. That there is no use of skill. Attitude should be there. That they have to work hard. If you may have an attitude person, that you make them a skilled person, but you cannot make a skilled person the attitude person. This is hiring. Recognize them, reward them, communicate them regularly, train them, and then they become the brand ambassador of your brand. Henry Ford has said very rightly, you can take my factories, burn up my building, give my people back, I will build the business right back again. So your employees, your staff or helping hands, doctors, they are very important if you want to make a big brand, because alone you cannot do anything and the management cannot do anything. Second important thing, we are too busy to be successful. This role of opening day, OPD, OT, we are rolling around this area. We think, yaar, humne itna kaam kiya, paisa to mila nahi. Because we are rolling in the same area. So this is the hamster on a wheel. We are running as fast as we can, but we have never reached to our goal. So what we should do? Your schedule is filled with lot of patients, but you do not seem to be locked of money. You do not have time for family, friend, yourself. You wake up every day exhausted. So what? That is the brand. You have a different set of doctors, different person working your place who share your responsibilities. And you have the time, free time. You can relax and enjoy. If you have brand. If you do not have the brand, then you have to work only. Spending too much time working in the business rather than working on the business. They are different things. Working in the business, working on the business. As a doctor, we do not know how a business is run exactly. Most of us are very good surgeons, but these might be disciplines which are important to make our clinic, hospital, work as business entity. To run the practice as a business, we should need strong skills such as market analysis, competitor analysis, strategy formulation. For this, you need a team. The brand means you need a team who look after, every team member look after different aspect of the brand. So one is housekeeping in charge, one is the reception in charge, one is the OPD in charge, one is the OT in charge, one is the digital marketing in charge. So this all things make a brand. Working on the business means we do more. Most of us want to do more than the competitor. See more patients, more surgeries, sell more glasses, but time is restricted 8 to hours per day. So how do we do more? We have to differentiate ourselves from the rest to do more. We can have only 8 to 10 hours working hours, but still we can earn more when we have this differentiation strategy based on skill, price and technology. Important thing is, I want to say, we can differentiate based on skill. Today, all the surgeons, we are the same surgeon. They are sitting almost, we are the same skill surgeon. So skill is not important. We can differentiate based on price, but strategy offering service at low cost price has failed miserably. If you sell yourself at low cost, it is not a long-term policy. You are not successful. So what differentiates you with others? This is technology. By acquiring latest machine, differentiate you from your neighbor, from your colleagues. So skill, everybody has skill. Price, everybody can reduce the price. But the technology is very important. We should adapt the technology. That's why I kept the name of my hospital high tech. If their technology is not there, but patient is definitely attracted, the high tech is there. So you have to, this is also funny name also sometimes help you. Unique customer experience, already told by them. When customer comes to you, he should be starting from the parking. He should be satisfied at every level. This is the common thing which we see. I summarize it. Coffee, when it is taken for the market, it is 10 rupees we can purchase. When it is packed, it will cost 25 rupees. A restaurant service 50 rupees. But you go in a cafe coffee day, it is 200 rupees. So why? When you have brand, this is a common clinic which nearby you, he will selling surgery at 10 rupees, but you can charge 2,000 rupees. So this is the brand. If you have brand, you can sell your thing at your own prices. Same thing, glasses. Chashma glass, you are examining basic test, you are giving the glasses a good service, the contact lens, but main income is the surgery. LASIK, pivotal, cataract surgery, premium IO, these are the basic. So we have to concentrate, focus on these aspects, not on the basic things. Because basic is available with each and every doctor. We have to stop thinking of our hospital as providing service or a product. We have to start thinking about our hospital as providing experience. When patient comes, he should have wow factor. Wow, what a parking, what a reception, what a cleanliness in the hospital, hygienic. How the doctor behaving with you. This is the important thing. Kamal has told patient unhappy, 90% patient because when there is more, because I am a single-handed person operating in my place, I am not a Kamal type many doctors. When I am more doctor, I just take a torch in my hand and keep moving in the gallery. Or आँख खराब हो गई, आँख छोड़ो घर कैसा तुम्हारा बच्चे ठीक है, so everybody is happy. So I forget about what they have come. I sit on the sofa with them in the common area, and staff see patients at the outside. So this thing, you should have a relationship with the patient. This service you should provide to patient. Because I am getting patient who say, आपके father ने मुझे operate किया था. मैं कहा मेरे father तो doctor थे नहीं. बोले no मेरे father को आपके father मैं कहना मैं तो father थे ही नहीं doctor. नहीं आप वहाँ मैं ही बैठता था. Oh आप ही है. 20 years back. So relationship है ये हमारी relationship maintain चल रही है because we have guts. So I have experienced that engage patient on emotional, physical, intellectual level. Quality consistency is very important. There is a different thing. Doctor's view is a happy patient, sympathetic patient. Doctor very happy, but patient not happy. Kamal told, पानी है, आँख में चीर, आँख में मेरे कीचड़ आ रहा है. This thing. So patient satisfaction, different satisfaction. Doctor satisfaction, sympathetic patient. No, that's not bad. So outcome. This is outcome. When patient experience post-operative day 1, sympathetic, patient not happy. Patient should be happy in all the level. Office visit, consultation, initial full contact, post-operative. Patient should be happy on all the days. This makes you patient happy. So we should never think of giving good result only. We should concentrate on these basic levels also to make the patient happy. To determine your most profitable service, what is the most profitable service in your business, and then plan to attend more of those patients. Then employ more smarter people with you, even if you have to pay more. The important thing is, I have come to know in a conference, there was a long time back, 7-8 years back, somebody was telling in the conference, I was also the presenter, that they have given their counselor Vagana car. I asked why. Well, they have double, different 4 times my practice in
Dr. Satanshu, you will have to roll down fast.
Roll up, sir. So, you should have a good website, Google ranking should be go, digital market should go, and you should not read books like this now. You have already read so many books like this, nonsense books. We all are doctors now. They do not teach us now. We learn ourselves. What should you read? You should read now these things. How to experience economy, how to get the money. Because we have already read too many things. Now our turn is to get the money also, to enjoy our life. Thank you.
Great presentation, Dr. Satanshu. I think the carry-home points, as we all know, are there. One point I'd like to tell some junior people who are just planning to start a practice is, do not believe in marketing a product, a machine or an IOL, because that lever is negotiable. You can say, okay, I put lens X, so that are my charges because of lens X. Your neighbor person will say, okay, I do the same for 2,000 less. So you have handed a new name to the patient he didn't know about, and now the patient will use that name as a lever to negotiate with the next guy. And anybody who brings down the price, so you made the price or the brand as negotiable. Make yourself as the brand, because you are not negotiable. There will be no Dr. Vinay. There will be no Dr. Adar Anjani. There will be no Dr. Kamal Kapur. There will be no Dr. Satanshu or no Dr. Sonu Goyal. That's non-negotiable. So in our organization, there are no boards of lenses or machines. You can freely walk into my organization. There are just photographs of happy doctors and happy patients all over. So any day I can switch any lens, any machine, any technology. Uselessly don't teach your patient machine technology. This machine fires at 750 Hertz and my machine fires at 900 Hertz. He'll go and look for somebody which fires at 1000 Hertz, and then you are out of practice. Talk about what you bring on table, the compassion, the human respect. You should be your brand. So that's exactly what Satanshu said. Be a brand. People should come asking for you, not the machine. If machine becomes the asking point or the lens becomes the asking point, you are defunct. You are finished.
So I think I'll just add to what Kamal said, and I think the recent regulation by the Supreme Court which said why doctors are charging $1.50 for a cataract surgery vis-a-vis 10,000 for CGHS and panel hospitals, I think that is the answer. It's my right to fix the nail at the cost which I want. It's my privilege, it's my right. So I have the right because I have been trained, and it's my charges which I, want and need from the patient. So I think it's better to sell our own cells rather than selling the product and the machine. So I think thanks Kamal for making me part of this wonderful course, and I think this course needs a bigger hall because this is a place where each and every one of us should discuss, and the whole game is how to make the patient satisfied. So it's all about the patient-centric practice protocols, and I am really impressed with the way Kamal has really worked, because at his center, if you see, it's what he wants, he delivers to the patient, and the patient patient actually becomes so gaga that he would always be looking for Kamal. They don't ask for the product, they just want 6/6/2020 Kamal Kapur. I think that's the story, the success story behind this man. So I think patient, standing in the patient's shoes is what is very, very important. Men is the measure of all things. I just clipped this, an overview of Picker's 8 principles of patient-centered care. I think much has been talked, I missed, but it might be a repetition. So respect for the patient's values, their preferences and expressed needs. I think this is very, very important. A patient coming to you, a patient who's driving, a patient who wants near vision, a patient who wants intermediate vision, a patient who needs vision in dark. I think that ultimately boils down to what kind of implant, what kind of surgery you are trying to go with the patient. Coordination and integration of the care. I think this is very, very important, because as a team, Kamal takes his entire team to Goa, 60 people flying on the same craft, enjoying 2 days. There's no discrimination between a doctor and a staff. I think that talks about oneness. If you see from the nursing staff perspective, how great they would feel to have breakfast with their own director. So I think the team has to be integrated. Information and education, as Dr. Satanshu has rightly said, every patient should be informed, well informed. You have to educate, you have to teach them. And that actually, the preoperative information which you have passed on to the patient, reduces the chair time which is required day 1 after the surgery, when you are trying to explain to the patient, oh look, there might be some glare halos. If the patient is pre-informed, they would never come cribbing for all these visual disturbances. The physical comfort, you always have to have that sort of bond, that interpersonal relationship when you're talking, addressing the patient with their first name, trying to give them something like a drink, a tea, coffee, and just trying to give them that pat. I mean, the kind of patient clientele that we are dealing is basically into 2, the young and the old. I think with that compassionate attitude, I think the whole scenario changes. That emotional support and their elevation of fear and anxiety, I think that is very, very important, because patients keep on talking. A lot of times, I think the doctor is very good because he gives me some time, he relieves me of my anxiety, and definitely we as patients, when we go to a doctor, we also know how much anxious when we are as a patient. So I think that is very, very important. Involvement of family and friends. I think you need to, touch their kids, their son, their daughters who have brought them, their family and the friends, because they should all feel, yes, he's the doctor, he's the practice where I actually need to have my parents operated. So the continuity and transition, you actually need to continue the practices that you feel have been your roadmap to success. And yes, transition. We have seen young people, advertising, going on Google ads. You have to justify what your practice needs. And yes, there is always a need for a change. You should always shift, but shift to better practices rather than going to negative practices. I think that transition is very, very important. And the whole story comes in a compassion. You at times, as doctors, we always in our routine, we all do it. I know we all, seeing an OPD of 400, you always say, okay, make this patient free of investigations, reduce this. So that compassion, we all as human beings always have it. And I think that is very, very important, because when you look at the patient's perspective, patient really acknowledges your compassionate attitude. And this is being discussed at their home. And this is what actually starts rolling in more of patients. So I think these 8 Pickers principle is what, we have been practicing and what we advocate and what we preach. So essentially my talk is all about this. I'll not take much of time. A brief review. So you have to start with the understanding of the patient's perspective, what the patient needs. You need to assess your current process from the start to finish, right from the reception, the investigation, the diagnostics, and till the end. Use your analytics and reporting, because what is your EMR giving you? What are the analytics? You have to think outside the box and outside your specialty. Sometimes if you are a retina guy, you have to actually think in terms of not in your specialty, but give a holistic approach in terms of the patient care. Make your technology work for you and your patients. So deliver the best of the technology which is latest available, and try to hold that technology and be the first to have that technology. You have to have resources at every turn. A patient-centered approach puts the patients in the driver's seat for their own health. and get your team invested in the entire process. What we think is important may not be important to the patient, because you're talking in terms of visual acuity, talking in terms of pressures, corneal thickness, OCTs, but actually the patient is not concerned. What the patient needs is a 20/20 vision. What the patient has come to you is the comfort level, their treatment. So they are hardly concerned about all these diagnostics. But you might be caught up in the numbered game. So the research indicates that the patient care experiences are associated with higher level of adherence to recommended prevention and treatment processes, better clinical outcomes, better patient safety within hospitals, and less healthcare utilization. So what patient wants is a doctor who listens to them, who explains to them well. I think these are very, very important points, and gives them a hand of compassion. So I think these three things are very, very important. An extra chair time of 5 minutes during the preoperative workup is going to, take this patient all throughout, We as ophthalmologists usually have certain blind spots we think that we have given, but this short study showed that 100% of the ophthalmologists believed that they have talked everything, but hardly 2% of the ophthalmologists were actually listening to the patients. So overall 83% of our staff reports that they are not aware of the patient expectations, and 93% of the staff has not actually been trained. So when you talk in terms of your managers, your nursing staffs, your residents, they all have to be trained in terms of what the patient expects. They have to talk what the patient needs. How can we be more centered? So patient-centric protocols are, before the patient enters your OPD or the OR, I think vulnerable patients should be tagged. Any patient more than 70 is a vulnerable patient, a wheelchair-bound patient. You should acknowledge their comorbidities, and these patients should be taken on a priority. A note should always be done for the allergies. We have seen a lot of times patients allergic to Tropic Acid Plus accidentally getting installed despite they having their allergic cards, because nobody has actually asked them, and the patient never feels that they have to be told about it. So care should be taken of which is these small petty things: cardiovascular diseases, tags of dilating agents, and the measures to curtail their waiting time. I think this is one of limitations pan-India with almost all of us, that the patients crib off the waiting time. So measures should be taken to curtail their waiting time, and it's not only pre-operative but post-operative. So whenever the patient enters your OPD, you always have to have smiling faces. I think one has to visit Kamal centers. I think the entire staff, right from the guard to the reception to the OR, they have smiling faces. Now that talks about their internal comfort with which they are working in that center. So your staff has to be taken care. They have to be always smiling, address the patients respectfully. You always have to have an eye contact. I think that is one very important thing, because that actually tries to reinforce within the patient, and you have to listen to them. You have to give ears to their complaints. You have to be sensitive to their needs, and the family has to be treated respectfully, and always try to make a connect. You can connect them socially with your relationships, with the connect that you have, and you have to then tailor their treatment protocols. So listening to them, and never start counseling before establishing a basic relationship. So I think I spend 2 minutes with the patient where I just start to connect, and then I actually start counseling what I want the patient or what the patient desires. So I think hearing is very important with the patient. And then you need to explain in simple words, explain what is basically, never start, you have to explain in simple words. Explain why a particular investigation is required. The patient doesn't understand what IL Master 700 or an OCT or a Corvus or a Pentacam is. You have to explain in their own terms what you actually need with this investigation. A freedom of choice should always be given to the patient for the treatment that they require, for the kind of the surgical implants or the surgical practice that they require. There are certain fears with the patient. You always have to reassure the patients for their fears. The fear of, for example, recurrence of spectacles, their powers, their cataract, their disability, fear of going blind, the duration of the surgery, the inability to cooperate during the surgery. So allaying the fear is what is of paramount importance, and I think this actually saves a lot of your time intraoperative and postoperative. pre-exposure to the surgery, you can actually take the patient for a pre-operative tour or for the do's and don'ts, explain the patient well what will happen on the day of surgery, and a brief post-operative instruction is what is, important. You need to give them time for their requirements, and a communication in their own language is very important. Telemedicine has a certain role to play. You can communicate, your staff can communicate patients. So to conclude, ask the patients about their expectations. I think this is very, very important, and their concerns. Patient-centric protocols around those expectations have to be built. You have to sensitize and you train the staff for the same. Encourage patient feedback. So I think we as a routine take a feedback from all our surgical patients, and this has actually helped us to improve our pitfalls. So, this is one very important area which helps us to improvising and improving our own system. The aim should always be not just be a successful surgery or a procedure, but ultimately you have to have a surgically satisfied patient, because a surgically satisfied patient gets you more patients and gives you that level of satisfaction. So thank you once again, Kamal.
I think beautifully summed up by Dr. Sonu. I think the carry home points, all the audience are getting it. It's not just a good machine, a good surgery or a good IOL. Practice goes much beyond the surgical or the clinical skill. It is an experience. Give the patient an experience he will not forget. The patient will come back for more. You will be amazed how many patients we have in our practice. They come to me and they say, "Doctor, we got operated from you. I went for a morning walk. My neighbor was going to somebody else. Advance already given. I have got him to you." The advance has been foregone. So when your patients become your brand ambassador, no amount of competition can kill you. And 6 of my centers are in Delhi, and they are within 50 meters of very, very big names. We have never lost a single patient to any competition. In fact, it's just a matter of time. The word spreads that, okay, there's a good experience of going to this place. The patients will come to you. That is branding. And branding is not just one thing. Patient experience, social media presence, word of mouth, happy patient. It's a mixture of all. It's like a khichdi.
Thank you.
One important thing I would like to doctor should never talk to the patient. This is my personal opinion. You may be different. I never talk to the patient regarding the payment.
Absolutely.
I just tell them these things are good. They ask me which lens. We have a diagnostic counselor separate. We have the surgical counselor separate. Diagnostic counselor stay with me in the OPD. And when I find out some diabetic retinopathy, I just ask them, you need an investigation. He will tell you. For surgical, I send to the surgical counselor. Surgical counselor sit with them. First, he asks them about their background, from they are coming, घर में कौन है, कितना पैसा कर रहा है. Then he has an idea कि how much he can invest. Then he start guiding them which type of lens he needs. Other 10 type of lens, patient get confused. If you say understand the patient need trifocal, then he will talk about the trifocal if he can afford. तो हम लोग अगर पेशेंट से बात करेंगे पैसे लगता है डॉक्टर कमाने के लिए बोल रहा है, बट वो अंकल आंटी अम्मा जी पिताजी क्या बोलता है तो उनको लगता है हमारा अपना बच्चा है, ये डॉक्टर तो है नहीं, इसका तो कोई फायदा है नहीं, ये अपने लिए नहीं बोल रहा, हमारे लिए बोल रहा है. तो नेवर talk about the payment from the patient directly, doctor.
Just one more learning tip is, what we do in our practice is, suppose there is a lens which is very expensive and there's a lens which is a little less expensive. Never criticize the less expensive lens because you don't know the patient's pocket. So I use the magic word. Let's say EDOF. So I will say my favorite. I will not say the best because who am I to say they are the best? Another surgeon will say something else. But the patient has come to me. So if I say my favorite lens is X, this is a premium lens. The similar lens is more affordable, works the same. Guess what? 82% of the patients go for the premium one. Yet the ones who are going for the affordable one do not feel bad about it because you didn't say it is cheaper. Cheap or less or costing less to the human psychology sounds bad. If you can only learn this, just say this is more affordable, this is premium. That's it. And don't tell them the prices. Say, rest my counselors will help you. And you will see they'll go to the thing and say, tell the counselor, how about going in for the premium one? Please tell us about the premium one. Or they say, we can't afford, we want to go for affordable. So the counselor will not push a very expensive technology, otherwise you will loot the patient forever. So I introduce Dr. Anjani Khanna to you. She's a prolific retina surgeon, and she's going to be talking about, the medical legal. God forbid you've done everything. You've done everything which you could think of, and the patient is still unhappy, and how to prepare in case there is a medical legal thing happening. Dr. Anjani.
So very good afternoon to everyone. Now you've branded well, you've communicated well, you have excellent patient protocols, but the patient still decides to go in for a medical legal case. What to do then? So my talk, I'll be covering what is negligence, what is indemnity insurance, how important is consent and documentation, and how to respond if God forbid you get a notice. So negligence of a doctor is defined as breach of responsibility or duty which results in actual damage by omission of an act or commission of an act which no prudent, reasonable doctor under similar circumstance would do. So translating it to our practice, if there is a posterior capsular rent, that is not negligence. But failure to document it on a discharge summary, the patient is going around saying that a phaco with IOL has been done, develops a retinal detachment later on, that is negligence. A nucleus drop, mind you, is not negligence. But a written explanation of risks involved, the course and time of action, if you don't give that to the patient, that is gross negligence. Not able to manage something out of one's own capability is not negligence, but a failure to timely refer is negligence. So the complications which are mentioned and are expected as a part of procedure are not considered negligence, as there is no guarantee or warranty of cure and perfection of skills. I want to ask the house before going ahead, how many of us know what is an indemnity insurance? By the show of hands. Yes. Right. How many of us have an indemnity insurance? That's quite a good number. Those who don't, do you think that we need one? And what is the ideal amount? Is 50 lakhs a good amount? Is 1 crore a good amount, or 2 crores? So this was asked by a questionnaire in this study, where 80% respondents, as this house knew about indemnity, 54% actually had one. So there was a large chunk who did not have indemnity yet. 64% had indemnity of only 50 lakhs, and 20% knew about the state and national expert bodies who assist in fighting cases. So this is necessary for everyone, including the practitioners of government services. It should start from residency. Some of at least a few million or more. I will quote some examples and tell you why. Make sure when you're taking an indemnity, you cover all the centers you're operating in. Now sometimes error happens when a staff member puts some wrong drops in the patient, and they can take you to the court. So you should cover it in your indemnity insurance. A retroactive cover when you're switching an indemnity. 2 separate insurances are better than one. And groups like AIOS, Maharashtra Ophthalmic Society have legal advisors. They can, as a group, negotiate better and have better terms of indemnity. And inclusion of out-of-court settlement clause should also be there. So the medical legal case, as is being discussed, is best avoided. Communication will help you do that. But documentation, in case the patient goes to court, will be your best friend. I'll quote a few examples. Now, this was a hallmark case in 1995 where a gynecologist took an unmarried female who was complaining of prolonged menstrual bleeding for a diagnostic laparoscopy. Found an endometriosis, the patient underwent a hysterectomy. Now, the doctor said that this was a standard procedure of treatment, and she had asked consent from the mother of the patient. But the anguished patient said that her consent was not taken, and the court also said that the procedure was not a necessity. The doctor could have waited for the patient to come out of GA and done it at a later date. So the doctor was actually held guilty for assault and battery. The doctor was charged 25,000 in addition to the extreme mental anguish for both the parties. So that's where consent is important. A valid consent will protect you from civil and criminal liability. Consent is valid when it is freely given, when it is reversible, informed. So informed of the procedure, its risks and complications, of alternative procedures, and what would happen if the patient does not undergo the procedure. Specific. So in a cataract surgery, if you don't take a consent for endophthalmitis, and God forbid that happens, that is negligence. When a patient walks into the OPD, that's an implied consent for examination. But any procedure would require an express consent. It should ideally be given to the patient to take home so that when on the day of surgery they come back, they can ask you questions. Who should be taking it? It's a direct contract between the doctor and the patient. Ideally, a doctor should be taking it. It's waived off in life-threatening emergencies, but it does not give immunity if negligence is proven. So I believe it's like salt. You cannot make food without salt, but a good salty, savory dish will not ensure that you don't have gastroenteritis. So another case where a post-pterygium excision surgery, MMC was reconstituted and given to the patient and asked to come back for 2 weeks. Patient came back after 4 months with loss of vision. Now the doctor had asked the patient to come back. There was no written documentation of the follow-up date, the next review. Though the doctor said that they had reconstituted only one vial, so it meant that patient had to come back, there was no written evidence. So the doctor was charged 50,000 rupees for that. Another grave case where a 29 weeks ROP baby in NICU with supplemental oxygen went blind because no ROP screening was done. The doctor said that it was handwritten during the discharge, but the mother did not have any documents saying what ROP is, how important the retina exam is. There the doctor was charged 1.38 crores because the court said that the patient had to be compensated for the life years that was lost due to loss of vision. So documentation, as I said, is our best friend. What are important is history and examination, as already discussed. Any allergies, previous surgeries or trauma, any referral notes, even refusal of treatment, you should get it written from the patient and have that as a record. 94% of malpractice claims, mind you, are on surgeons. So extrapolating it to ophthalmology, we should document all our surgical details, complications, management, and any additional drugs used. A discharge card is another important medical legal document. It should clearly mention the danger sign when the patient has to report back and a number where a patient should contact you in case of any danger signs. Follow-up visits with dates. Certificates, we should always keep a copy with us of whatever medical legal certificates we issue. So mind you, what is said will not matter, what's documented will only matter. So that's why in Sharpsight we have an EMR, an easy medical system. You can have, there are many softwares available. It's always good to have a software system which can document it for you. This is how it looks like. So documenting the patient demographics, the examination findings, the diagnosis, and the drugs with dosages. And so in anti-glaucoma drugs, we have a doctor remark that you have to continue it. In steroids, we add the doctor remark that you have to stop. If you want to refer to another doctor, it will document your second opinion and the next review details. We also have a column where we can refer to the earlier visits of the patient. So some don'ts for medical records: never overwrite, never apply a whitener, and never alter retrospectively because that will raise a suspicion of malpractice. Always strike it off and sign it with your date and name. Do not leave spaces in between because that's a scope where something can be added. Certificates, if proven to be false, the doctor is liable for punishment. So it should be clear without any ambiguity. Verify the patient details and have a copy with yourself. How long do we have to keep these for? 3 years normally, and for mentally challenged patients and where litigation is going on, forever. So now these doctors did everything well. The consent was taken, everything was documented. Post-Avastin, the 7 of the patients developed endophthalmitis. The patients were called by the doctor, managed timely with the past venovitrectomy and intraocular antibiotics. Still, the doctors were charged with 5 lakh and they were penalized because this is not this is an off-label use of the drug. So the company said that they promote it only for oncological use. The specific consent for Avastin, the management done timely and free of charge also was not protective for the doctors. So mind you, no company has ever been found guilty or punished. So whatever we do is our responsibility. A 33-year-old male post-PRK patient had regression. He alleged, he demanded 35 lakhs. The counter-arguments were that this is a known complication, all the records were furnished, informed consent was taken, specific consent was taken, and the court favored the doctors saying there is no negligence. Now recently there's been a move that doctors will be exempt from criminal prosecution. This is underway. So what to do when you're served with a notice? Winning depends on how you represent it in the court. Have a good advocate. Mention all the technical points because the technicalities the lawyer won't know. Be well prepared. And complication is not negligence. The extent of compensation will always be for the mental, physical anguish. It can range from minimal to maximal. So, on the receipt of the complaint, inform the insurance company. They will manage the charges if in civil cases, but in criminal cases, the charges are managed only if the doctor is acquitted. Free eye surgeries will not protect you against litigation because the maximum doctors have been charged for botched eye surgeries is 22 million. So the take clinic message would be medico-legal cases are best avoided. Indemnity insurance are a must. Documentation will help you in a long way. And if there is a case, if you're well represented, if you give technical details, you have nothing to worry about. So ABCD would be an attitude and empathy, behavior in support of doctor and staff, good communication skills, and documentation. Thank you for the opportunity and have a great conference.
I think that was a beautiful summing up of the whole thing. I know the next session is due, sir. We'll just roll down fast. This is going to be interesting for everybody. This is Dr. Vineet Sehgal. I'm sure a lot of you know him through his teaching programs and the PG training programs he conducts online. So he'll be talking about the social media, using the social media as your marketing tool.
Thank you, Kamal sir, for giving me this opportunity to talk about this very important topic which is usually not taught in our curriculum. So I would be talking about the social media practicing. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. So no financial disclosures. So what is actually marketing? Marketing is connecting the target audience at the right time, at the right place. So we have two types of marketing, the ATL and the BTL. The above the line marketing, which is basically newspaper, radio, TVs, and below the line marketings, which is the camps, the pamphlets that we do, the home to home campaign. I will be talking about the online marketing. Here, I will be talking about the social media marketing. We have some other methods also like search engine optimization, messenger, email marketing. So why online platforms are must? So almost 5.35 billion people are on online platforms till 2024. Can you see this picture? Now we all know that this is a picture by Shah Rukh Khan, Jawan. We all know about this poster. So mobility is an issue. Before we are going to see a picture, we want to know how is the picture, what is the cast, who is the director. So that's why whenever we want to go to a hospital, we want to know who is the doctor who is operating, what are the various things that are offered by the hospital. And it gives you a competitive edge. Let's say you scroll down. You have two pictures in the hall. One picture is by X, one picture is by Y. Now you see that this is the 4-star that is given, that is a 4.8 star that is given. You would definitely go to watch the 4.8 star movie. Similarly, if you are going for a surgery in a hospital, you would see that this hospital has a 4.8 rating in the Google, that other hospital has a 4.2 rating. You would definitely be inclined to go to the 4.8. So what is the basically various objectives of a marketing? Basically for the awareness of the product, for the brand promotion, interest, lead generation, footfall, and finally conversion. Finally, I want a patient to come to my hospital and get the cataract surgery done. So what are the various tools? We have a lot of tools now. We have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. So what are the various things we should post on the social media? First of all, informative campaigns. What is cataract surgery? What are myopia control lenses? What is the femto laser assisted cataract surgery? Then we talk about the hiring. Let's say we are expanding now, and now we want more doctors to join us. So we want doctors and the team to join us. Then we do the wishes on the various festivals. We talk about the various achievements which we have. We talked about the testimonials, live sessions, social activities, and the various campaigns. World Glaucoma Week is going on. What are we doing on the World Glaucoma Week? We can post that. So live social media interaction is very important. When I go to EdTech platforms, there is something called YouTube Live. So when we have YouTube Live or Instagram Live, what we see there is the engagement is more. So sometimes you just scroll down the Instagram, but you do not look at the post. When there is an Instagram Live session, then there are actually the audience which basically want to see your product. And why it is more advantageous? Because you would get to sell about your unique offers and services to the patients. So what are the tips for the social media post? Like a PPT, our social media posts should be also short and attractive. The pictorial posts are more engaging and it should be relevant for the target audience. If I am going to target a LASIK patient, I should have a beautiful girl who is wearing spectacle and the other picture is without spectacle. Then we can have something in our technology which can basically tell the patient, if you are interested, then you can come to our hospital. There should be a website, there should be a link, then there should be a message that is given to the patient. And whenever you have a website designer or a Facebook page you have, it should have your proper address, it should have what are the services you are offering, what are the timings, what is the phone number through which you can get the appointment. These are very important things. So what are our target audience? We have to identify that. If I am doing a glaucoma practice, I should have the target audience which can have more glaucoma. If I am doing a campaign for the LASIK, I should basically see and boost my post from the 18 to 40 years. So that is how we basically make a value pyramid. So first of all, we basically make a campaign where we say that, okay, you can get freedom from the glasses. The second is, how you can get a freedom from the glasses? You can basically get a LASIK checkup done. And after LASIK checkup is done, you can basically get the surgery. And then with the various social media tools, we can have a retargeting and remarketing strategy. What is retargeting? That if you have just seen my Instagram post, but you have not come to my hospital, you have not taken my subscription, that is, here I can do a retarget. I would definitely give you again reminders that you can come to us. What is remarketing? Remarketing is, let's say you have got a cataract surgery done for yourself, and now I am just encouraging you to basically come again for your follow-up checkup, or you can basically invite or give a subscription code to any other of your colleague or your family member who can also get a cataract surgery done or whatever ophthalmic procedure he wants to from our hospital. There is a paid marketing also. You can see some ads where you are getting 1,000 likes, 10,000 likes, 50,000 likes. Similar type of advertisement, you are getting a 5 likes, 7 likes. So there can be something which the Instagram or the YouTube promotes from its end. So some videos which have more likes, they are promoted more as compared to the other ones. And you can have a professional page on the, how many of you are on Instagram? Can I have a hands up? So almost all of us are on Instagram. So in Instagram also, if you are there and you are a eye professional, make your account as a professional account. From the professional account, various things you can do which you cannot do in a personal account. Then make your attractive reels on Instagram that are more commonly seen as compared to a normal pictorial post. So now how to get more engagement? Engagement is something when you have seen the post and now you come to the comment section. You see that there are more pictorial, more graphics, there are live session, and if there are more reviews, the chances of engagement are more as compared to a normal post. So what are the advantages of social media marketing? I won't be taking too much of time because the lunch is going on again. So the advantages of social media marketing are they are cheaper, have higher reach, you can retarget the client, you can get the details of the client as well. But why it is important? You have to start it today, because if you start later, you would be basically lagging in the search engine. What are the various pitfalls before I end my presentation? That spreading yourself too thin means you are posting one right now and one after 1 week and one after 1 month. This is something which you are spreading yourself too thin. Second thing is focus on your product or service more than your audience. Okay, you are not targeting about an audience. You are always talking about femto, cataract or XYZ. That is wrong. You have to basically focus on what are your audience, what he wants. And you are not using more visuals and not telling stories. Make a story and sell it. That is the call of the day. It is double-edged sword, because if your queries are not answered, your client would go to the next hospital. Overexposure, if you are giving 10 posts every day, the person would block you. If you get 50 messages from a person, you would definitely block him. There are broadcast channels also. And if there is a negative review, it can go against your reputation as well. So my last slide is that social media marketing is an important tool which we have to basically explore. The post that we should post should be relevant, and though it has a cheaper and higher reach, it can have deleterious effect on your business, so should have a proper team for that. Thank you, sir.
with that, we close this session, and I can assure you, I'm sure there are some carry-on points which none of us were taught in our medical college. Next year at the AOC, we will have the same thing with different topics. So every time we change 2-3 topics. So thank you everybody for attending and staying during the lunchtime. Thank you.
Thank you.